Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday.
Hey, Trojan family, what is up? And Happy New Year. Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. Thank you, as always, for making this show a part of your day, and especially now for starting off 2026, joining me and making this show hopefully a part of your daily routine in the new year. Quickly, I'm going to do a quick kind of transfer portal primer. The portal officially opens tomorrow, January 2nd, depending when you are listening to this. This is kind of late in the evening, New Year's Day. But I'll be quick. I know no one likes when I talk anything from just jump around to USC, but hey, I just want to give a quick shout out and a very heartfelt thank you to all of you for making this year so special. We saw incredible growth here at the USC LAFB YouTube channel over on LAFBnetwork.com. And all of it would not happen without you engaging, commenting, subscribing, sharing, interacting with me, whether it be on YouTube, in lives, in Tim and Mad Ben as well, or interacting with me over on X and that there. So I truly do appreciate it. And we're just getting started. And I know everyone says that. Everyone's always like, oh, on to the next, bigger and better. But I truly believe we can just take this to the next level. We really dove in this season specifically and really upped our quantity of content to really just try to bring you everything that's happening in the USC by the minute, by the day, as quickly and efficiently as possible. And now in 2026, just want to drive that quantity up, but also the quality up even more. I appreciate that you guys will all sit here and just kind of watch me talk and ramble, and I try to obviously prepare and do all my notes and stuff, but we'll start upping the production value as well as we continue growing this. So just want to give you a big thank you. 2025 was awesome. 2026 is going to be even better. And let's hope USC football can follow suit and be even better in 2026. And with that being said, that is going to start tomorrow, January 2nd, with the transfer portal opening. We've been talking about it for a long time, and now USC can really make their mark with some big time additions to this roster to round out kind of positions of need, and not just with depth, but with quality starting caliber players. If these playoffs have shown you anything, it's shown me two things. One, as we've known all along, the SEC is highly overrated. No surprise. I don't think anyone that not just watches this show, but any Big Ten fan, you could even say any Big 12 fan, probably even ACC fan. We all know the SEC is wildly overrated. That doesn't mean there's no good football teams in the SEC. That doesn't mean there's no good players and coaches in the SEC. But this thought of they are just dominant over everyone else and live in this pedestal, just obviously is not true. They've gotten absolutely dominated in bowl season against everyone. And people can say, oh, they want the lesser bowls don't matter. Okay, well, if you believe that, then just look at the playoff. They're not even winning the playoff. They've only beat each other, right? Georgia and Ole Miss are playing right now as we speak, so one of them has to win. Alabama and Oklahoma played in the first round. One of them had to win. Other than that, that's it. They can't beat any other conference. So, the days of the SEC dominance are clearly over. So that's the one thing that showed me. Joking aside, though, the other thing that's really evident is how important the transfer portal is and how quickly you can go from a very good program to a playoff or national title contending program with the right transfer portal pieces. That doesn't mean, and we're not changing, and USC is not changing their philosophy. That doesn't mean you are building your program through the portal, but you certainly can elevate your program through the portal with the right pieces. So when Chad Bowden and the staff, and they say we're going to graduate in recruiting and we're going to minor in the transfer portal, that means exactly that. You got to build your foundation with the correct recruiting and retention and development. But that if you can add high quality starters like Caleb Downs at Ohio State, David Bailey at Texas Tech, go down the list. We've seen in these playoffs and every year really where you can get high impact portal guys that really elevate you like that. So this is a extremely important next steps. We'll call it Act 3, right? Act 1 was the 26 class, number 1 recruiting class. Act 2 was retention. And now Act 3 is acquisition in the portal. And so this is just a teaser. We're going to dive into it all week long. And, once this holiday, I got family visiting, but I want to jump on here quick. But we'll dive into more names. I've been doing a couple. I'm sure you've watched. Thank you for that as always. But I added a few more names of who to look for because, as I've been saying, I truly believe the positions of absolute need are really all defense. Anything on offense to me is a nice to have and what money is left over. Because while USC's NIL is in a great spot, while I think they'll be able to spend a good amount, and I think Chad Bowden and his staff will be very aggressive, this is still not the NFL where you have an owner just writing checks. Like, you have to still fundraise. That money has to come from somewhere. And sometimes, this is now just me talking about the process, not about the current situation, but sometimes you have to fundraise after the fact. Like, you kind of say, hey, this is what we can give you. And then you got to go, okay, we got to get this money now. Like, we have an agreement in place. Let's go make sure we fundraise and make this happen. So it is a process through the whole thing. It's not just, the Walton Penner group for the Broncos signing checks for salaries and whatnot, or you could even argue it's not just Oregon with Phil Knight signing checks. Like, you got to go fundraise through the alumni base and whatnot to get this. So USC's in a good spot. I think they'll make that happen. I don't have any fear of them not being able to be one of the higher spenders in this portal class, and I think they absolutely need to be. But you still have to be smart where you allocate. And so the top bill of money allocation needs to be on the defensive side. Offensive side, to me, is all nice to have depending what you get. Because, for instance, wide receiver. I believe they need to add one top-tier wide receiver, more so for just having experience, can be kind of the leader in the room, not because I don't believe in the young guys. I've said it so many times that I want to dive into. I think the talent level that USC has currently in the receiver room, when you look at Tinook Hines and others, and then obviously the 6 receivers coming in, it is an unbelievably loaded, talented room. But you just want to see at least one veteran guy that has a good amount of playing experience in big games. Tinook Hines has that now. But no one, even the guys still on the roster, I wouldn't say have like big game experience. They've been on the roster, but they haven't been like putting up production. And then obviously all 6 freshmen coming in are going to be brand new. So a Nick Marsh, a Cam Coleman, I know there's the names fans really want to see them add, but you're talking, you're talking 7 figures, $1-2 million for one of these receivers. And so depending what you can do on defense, if you have stuff left over, great. But to me, that shouldn't be a priority. To me, the priority is defensive line. And I think you're looking at 3 to 4 players. And I'm talking like potentially starting players. They could add more for depth, but I'm talking like 2 D tackles that can contend to start. Now, obviously, love Jakeem Stewart, love Floyd Boucard, so starting is a relative word. It's going to be a rotation, but guys that have played a lot of football already that can come in and be those dudes, because you're losing your 2 basically starters in Devin Tompkins and Keyshawn Silver, and so you'll have that rotation of Stewart, Boucard, Jade Abrsari, who hasn't technically re-signed yet. We assume he'll be back. And, Jamal Jarrett and others. But if you can add 2 guys that have been there, done that, great. I think edge, you're going to need to still add a quality. I love Braylon Shelby. I love Cameron Crawford. But the production hasn't quite lived up to the hope so far. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Doesn't mean they're not still growing. Cam Crawford played a phenomenal Alamo Bowl. And I think Shelby, I still like his size and kind of what he does from the edge position in terms of rushing. His versatility, is another thing. If I know in that game, the Alamo, they dropped him back in coverage a lot. Kind of interesting. But I think you could still use another quality piece there that is either competing to be the starter or at least pushing and elevating those guys to do even more. So edge, I think, is, one guy you're looking at. And then obviously backer, for sure one backer, maybe two, and then someone in the secondary, DB. You could argue safety or corner. Again, I always say defensive back. I think it's interchangeable. But to me, looking at the secondary, it's extremely deep with talent, but it's extremely young. You'd love to have a top flight corner to come in to just at least kind of shut down one side of the field while you continue developing Marcellus Williams, while Chasen Johnson gets up to speed after injury, whatever happens with Prophet Brown, while all these guys, Alex Graham, RJ Sermon, all these guys continue to develop, but you're not forced to be starting again like freshmen and sophomores that have very little playing experience. I think safety, you have a little bit more experience with Christian Pierce at least, and then whether it's Kennedy Urlacher or whoever they do plug in. And I think they'll probably maybe add a safety as well, but corner seems like a little bigger need. So I've talked a bunch already. Just quickly, some names that I've added to my list that are in there.
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
John Henry Daly from Utah just entered junior. So like the experience there, little old. Now it'll be interesting to see if he ultimately follows Coach Whittingham to Michigan. That's not unlikely. But if SC can get a guy like this, 6'4", 247, from that edge position, so let's iterate that, edge position, finish the year with 48 total tackles, 11.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. So the production there would instantly be the most production from that edge position for USC. And, played a lot of snaps. He really became a starter this year as a redshirt sophomore, didn't really play much in 23 or 24, and then came into his own as kind of an elite player in the Big 12 this season. So if that's a guy you can pick up, I think that would be a great addition for USC in that edge room. Then you get Daly, you got Crawford, and you got Shelby, and then all your youth behind that. Your edge room's looking really solid. You have some high-end production, plus some experience in the system who have been there in Shelby and Crawford, and then a ton of talent to push and compete and to develop. So he's a big one that I added as well. The other on the edge position, Burnham just entered from Notre Dame. Interesting. Obviously there's some ties there with Chad Bowden, and he's been with Notre Dame for 4 years since 2022, so going to be a senior. So obviously has that age and kind of experience and being, in a good program, and Chad Bowden obviously involved in some of that tutelage while he was at Notre Dame. So last season, 16 total tackles, 3 sacks, 6'4", 253. So not like elite production, but he would be more of a nice depth piece that can come in and give you some good looks. So obviously Henry Daly would be like the home run. Like, this is a guy that can come in and double-digit sacks. Joshua Burnham would be more of that, like, probably depth piece that, can give you some production. He had 30 tackles in 24, so a more productive year then, and then could come in and still be a very viable contributor for this season. The one defensive tackle, and I'll bring up some of the names that I've said just in case you haven't watched the last video, but I only had like 4 additions to who I've already talked about. So the one defensive tackle that I added to this list is a monster, and it's Ian Geffrard, Ian Geffrard from Arkansas, starting defensive tackle, 6'5", 389 pounds. So a mammoth. You figure you have some looks with Jamal Jarrett and Geffrard together as your 2 interior tackles. You're talking about almost 800 pounds of beef between those two. So size alone is great. Production, not bad. 25 tackles from the interior there last year. I think when you look at these big bodies, the one question is like, hey, what's the endurance like? How can they stay on the field for 3 downs? So just to a little bit of a comparison, he ended up playing 509 snaps total last year for Arkansas. His highest snap count game came in week 8, had 62 total snaps on the defensive line. And so in comparison, that 509 total, you look at a guy like Devin Tompkins, 552. So obviously, no matter what, USC is going to have some semblance of a rotation. But I think you could say Devin Tompkins was the lead snap count getter for USC, and really only 40 snaps more than Geffrard. So for a guy of that size, certainly proved that he could stay on the field enough and didn't have issues with perhaps endurance and just the size kind of overwhelming to let him actually play more than like a down here or there. So I don't think that would be an issue. But I like the size. I like the run stuffing ability and a guy that could come in and just add to that room. So those are my three on the defensive line. When you look at cornerback, a more late addition since I've last done this, Jontez Williams from Iowa State. We'll see if he ultimately wants to follow and go to Penn State with his coach, Matt Campbell. But, not as productive this year, but in 24, 46 total tackles and did have 4 interceptions in 2024. 5'11", 200 pounds, so great size for a corner and just brings you a little bit more experience being with Iowa State for 3 seasons. And so has you that kind of more age and ability that could be kind of like a Mekhi Blackman when he transferred over. Like Mekhi Blackman wasn't maybe like a top flight corner in the Pac-12, but he certainly gave you lockdown ability. And I think he's one of the more underrated corners that USC had gotten in the Lincoln Riley era. I mean, he was very important in that defense, what he was able to do, and allowed other guys to do things and allowed other youth to develop. Another guy like Greedy Vance, super underrated, that came in. I know he played nickel, but a guy that just had been there, done that, played a lot of football. And so you could count on him to just do his job and handle it. And, not a first round pick talent per se, but certainly a guy that could handle his own side of the field and allow you to kind of move things around instead of having just so much youth with so much question marks. So those are the 4 that I've added. I think linebacker wise, I've already talked about the backers I like the most. Austin Romaine, I love, out of Kansas State, talked about him, 6'2", 245, so fix that flavor profile we like. 66 tackles, 96 tackles in 2024. Remember, he got a little banged up and ended up having surgery in 2025 last season, and hand surgery, again, so it wasn't like anything with the leg or lower body. And obviously has some connection with Coach Truman Carroll, strength and conditioning coach, so we'll see if something like that can get done. Robert Woodyard Jr. from Alabama, 241, 67 tackles last year, 2 sacks, another great body size, and has the ability to, starting caliber, lead the defense from the linebacker position. And then Kavon Sherman, I mentioned from Toledo, 6'2", 236, 93 tackles last year, 4.5 sacks, and a fumble recovery. So lesser competition playing in that, conference, obviously, and playing at Toledo. But the production is elite, and a guy that if he can make that transition from kind of G6 to the Power 4, certainly has the production, hopefully, to match that over. And then on defensive line, the 2 that I still really like the most, Bryce Butler from Washington, obviously some familiarity playing in the Big Ten, 6'5", 315, was a star in Washington, and just did a lot of elite things with that body size, 19 total tackles, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery. And then lastly, John Walker, sophomore from UCF. So Big 12, but 6'4", 324, 39 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble last year. And again, just love that size at, 320 plus, 6'4 plus is going to give you that body type you want in the Big Ten. So just a little primer there for you. We'll have tons of transfer portal talk coming up here in the waning, just in the, days to come. And the only thing I didn't mention, I know all the questions right now are on the defensive coordinator. I'll do probably a video on that tomorrow if nothing has still come to light. I really thought this would be done by New Year's Day evening, end of day, whatever. As of now at almost 8 o'clock, nothing has been announced yet. So I still think Pete Kwiatkowski is still the name to watch. Obviously, sometimes it's just a negotiation period as well. There's been rumors of maybe like Gary Patterson has been approached. I don't know if that's in a different role. He hasn't really fully coached since 2021. So I doubt they would go and make him DC having that much time off, but maybe as like an analyst or some other role. I think a name like Justin Wilcox is interesting. I mean, fans may hate that, but obviously as a DC has had some success. He's also a free agent. Or is USC going after someone that's either still in the college football playoff or in the NFL? And maybe they have kind of a deal or structured already. They just can't announce, obviously, till, that coach can leave his team. So still some moving parts. I will keep you posted. Anything I hear, make sure to check out the LAFB message board over on LAFBnetwork.com. It's in the description below, so we'll drop any intel there. But obviously, I'll be back on here with any video information that I can get in that regard. We'll keep you posted. So jumping out of here, appreciate you, family. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day or whenever you're watching this, and we'll be back plenty. I mean, it's the new year, new USC. Let's see how this thing gets rolling. So appreciate you, family. As always, bye down. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jaden Mayava in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USC LAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
Did you know Microsoft has officially ended support for Windows 10? Upgrade to Windows 11 with an LG Gram laptop. Voted PC Mag's Reader's Choice Top Laptop Brand for 2025. Thin and ultra lightweight, the LG Gram keeps you productive anywhere. And Windows 11 gives you access to free security updates and ongoing feature upgrades. Visit lgusa.com/iHeart for great seasonal savings on LG Gram laptops with Windows 11. PC Mag Reader's Choice used with permission. All rights reserved.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday.